You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another Dangerous Liberty Podcast. We got a great show for you. I want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. We got two great guests for you. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a moment. But I want to say hi to, number one, all the mods over there, Jason, AM, Jeff, and all. We got a couple of new ones, too. So, again, appreciate you guys. Appreciate what you do, and I don't give you enough credit, so thank you. Real quick, there's some rules at the Dangerous Liberty live stream. Look, the reason we do these live streams is because I want you guys to participate. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your questions, and we want you to get involved in the discussion. Disagreement is encouraged, all right? But name calling, we're just not going to do it. If you want to be a child, this isn't the place for you. You're going to get banned, and you can go somewhere else. If you want to have a grown-up discussion, this is the place to do it, and we'll happily entertain all of the questions. We just ask that everybody be respectful so that we can have good, open discourse, whether we agree with each other or not. So that's what it's all about. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Down in the description below, Shauna is our guest. She's going to introduce herself, but there's a link down there. We also have Jason from Jay Witt podcast. I don't have his links, but you can look him up. He has a great channel. I found him today. And without further ado, I want to bring everybody on to the chat. Boom. There it is. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. For those you don't know, somebody sent me a link today. I was on X, and somebody sent me a link to Jason's podcast, and he was kind of going through my last video. Had some really good commentary, and he just did a great job with it. Not because that he was using my video, but just on his own accord. I thought it would be great to have him on. So thanks for doing that, Jason. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for doing the work that you do. I enjoy finding good quality, thoughtful people who've been debunking. I mean, for crying out loud, you went to UVU. We at least got to give you credit for that. I mean, if nothing else, man. Now, mind you, I wouldn't have mind when you were going up the stairs talking about being Spider-Man. I do think you should go back and edit that and put in that 1970s Spider-Man music. That's a viral video right there.
I agree. So that opportunity lost, but you know what? We can go back and do that.
I love it.
Shauna, if you will, real quick, just take a moment and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a wife and a mom. I'm a former registered nurse. I left the field like 11 years ago, and I run a business with my husband. I've been in the political realm probably for the last 11 or 12 years. Very interested in politics, very interested in true crime. I'm also incredibly skeptical by nature in general. And so I kind of started just fact checking Candace Owens on some of the information that's actually able to be fact checked, not the innuendos and stuff like that. And it's just been a very interesting journey looking at some of the stuff that she has said and looking into it.
No, that's awesome. And so just kind of give you guys a backstory. I think it was on X or whatever. The whole plane, the Egyptian plane thing came up. And I made some comments. And look, I've had people send me some things on the Egyptian planes, and I've looked into the Egyptian planes a little bit. I found some discrepancies comparing some facts that I came across to what Candace Owens was saying about the planes to begin with.
Thanks.
But I didn't get a chance to really deep dive into that. And to be honest with you, I wasn't super, super interested in it, to be honest with you. It just seemed weird. And I never heard in any of Candace's, it never seemed like she was able to coalesce a reason behind the planes and what was going on. What I did know is that the planes were allegedly following both Charlie and Erica Kirk around long before he supposedly had his break with the pro-Israel movement. So that didn't make sense to me. But I brought it up, and Shauna had sent me a bunch of stuff, and she was like, hey, look, I got all this information. I've been looking into this. You know, you can use it. And I was like, why, you know what, I'd much rather you just come on. You're the subject matter expert. And that is one thing that I really love about X. There's a lot of things I don't like about X, and I'm still kind of figuring my way around X. But one thing I do like is, man, there's a lot of folks out there that are putting out really good content or have a lot of great capabilities that maybe not be that well known. And I love to be able to, bring people on that, I don't know, give them a voice because they're doing really cool stuff. And so, what I kind of want to do tonight, Shauna, just kind of give me and Jason will kind of give you the floor. And I just want you to kind of present what you found as far as the Egyptian plains and, whatever other context that you want to give it to us. And then at some point, folks, what we will do, this is going to be ran just like a normal podcast where the co-hosts are going to discuss what's going on. Towards the end, we're going to open up that time for all of your questions, your comments. We will prioritize super chats, but we will try to get it to as many lives as possible as well. If you haven't done so already, again, subscribe to all of our channels, all of our social media. And then on top of that, we just started opening up memberships. So if you'd like to become a member, we really appreciate that. But Shauna, kind of take the floor and take it away.
Sure. So initially, when Candace mentioned about the Egyptian plains, I don't know, well, the first Egyptian plane a month or so ago, I noticed that not just that she had the time zone incorrect, but she also said the plane landed at an Army base in Nebraska. And on her own screenshot, it said just the regular public Omaha, Nebraska airport for the flight history. And I was like, this is so weird. So then when she came out a few weeks later and she had the whole spreadsheets and the mommy sleuth, and she said that there were 70 times that these planes were overlapping with Erica Kirk. I was like, first of all, how did you verify Erica's locations? Because she's not very public with all of that stuff. Second of all, why would Erica Kirk be at all of these events and Charlie was only at some of them? Like, that didn't make sense to me. So I was like, let me just look up these flight history. So I screenshot the spreadsheet that she had on her show. And I just started looking at the flight histories. Now I could only go back for 12 months on, I think it's like Flight Radar 24 or something, but I don't know where this woman got this information from. I don't know if I don't know. But what I found is that for the last 12 months between both planes, there were 20 entries for locations and flight history on that spreadsheet. Of those, 25 of them were duplicates. So there were only 15. Of those 15, only 6 of them were correct.
Wow.
And of those 6 that were correct, obviously, I don't know what Erica's locations were, but one of them, it says on the 10th that Erica was in Nebraska/Delaware, which I don't understand that, but she wasn't. She was in Arizona. And then it said that on the 13th that she was at a Turning Point event in Provo. I don't know about that for sure, but I tend to doubt it. But for sure, the 10th was not right. So maybe 5, maybe less of those 20 entries were not accurate at all. Not even close. Like the plane's in Cairo for months and months at a time. Right. And then yeah.
Did you notice also that Candace kind of flip-flops the term military plane and Egyptian planes?
Yes.
She creates this narrative, and you can kind of get the picture in your mind that you see some F-22s flying, following Charlie, but then later on is like just a Gulfstream.
Right.
And she kind of jumps back and forth, military plane. No, it's a charter. It's a Gulfstream. Stop it.
Right.
So good catch.
Yeah.
No, one of the things that I did find out, I believe it's called, I may be getting this name wrong, but right there in Provo, it's Schaefer Industries or something like that. It basically what they do is they service Gulfstreams. And I know they do have an office there in Provo, and I wish I'd have written the name of the place down, but they refit them, they recondition them, all those things. And they do have a facility right there in Provo, Utah, which might explain some of the times that those planes were in Provo. Mm-hmm. Again, out of all the episodes that I've watched, I still can't it's real fun kind of chasing these planes around like, oh, it was over here and it was over here and they were here. Two things that I never got out of any of those episodes was the fact that hey, how are you verifying Erica Kirk's location?
Right.
That never, all we see is hey, Erica Kirk was here on her little spreadsheet,
That's
but we
true.
never see what's going on with that. And then again, there's just no, like, make it make sense for me, Candace. Like, why are we doing this? If it's Israel, they have the ability to electronically track you wherever they want. All right, they can track your phone,
Right.
you can track they could track your car electronically. Like they could put GPS trackers. There's lots of cheaper and easier ways to do this.
Mhm.
I don't understand the logic behind the overall thesis. Like what are you telling us here? And so far I've never heard that.
No, I haven't either. And it doesn't
She
make any
never
sense.
gave it.
It's the most conspicuous, most expensive way that you could ever possibly imagine tracking somebody. Why? Like, it doesn't. You said there were people that were following her around? Egyptian planes? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doesn't make sense to me at all. I don't get it. I don't get it. Any other of the major kind of discrepancies that you saw with that whole thing, Shauna?
With the planes?
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, possibly 4 or 5 that might be accurate. But
So
we don't
out of
even know her
73 alleged overlaps.
Well, I could only go back a year looking at flight history. So
Yeah.
out of 20, there were maybe 5 might be right. Or the histories were right, I should say.
And I'm not certain, 100% certain, Gary. There is a company called Duncan Aviation.
That's what it was. Duncan.
There it is. And they retrofit and do all the conditioning and servicing of Gulfstreams. So I did search, but they don't have an office in Wilmington, Delaware. So they only have an office in Michigan and Nebraska and, of course, Utah. So that's, but anyway, that was so that's probably the company that we're referring to. And I'm sure if we did a little bit more deep dive, these 2-3 mystery planes, a yellow, a yellow, a blue, and a purple plane now, all probably were getting service there. And that would make much more sense than some of the stuff that she said.
Mr. 10EIB, whatever your name is. I've watched over 20-something episodes of Candace. Watched today's episode too, which number one, I found out another lie in today's episodes for sure. At least really bad information.
Yes.
So don't sit there and try to throw nonsense around, because again, don't worry. I got a lot more videos coming. Well, I'm going to show you that Candace is lying to you without a doubt. And it's intentional. It's deceptive. There's a mix between complete incompetence. She gets so many facts wrong. She omits facts, and then she deceives you and just straight up lies to you many times. So you can continue to throw shade all you want, but it's just not going to work here. Yeah. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just another piece of that pie. And here's the thing: it's always these weird things that she does that nobody is going to go around and actually research or check. And that's the other thing too. I'm sure you guys have seen this many times. No matter how detailed of information that we put out, like they will go through that with a fine-tooth comb and try to bend it, twist it, and make it into some sort of like, oh, we got you, you're lying. But you people will not fact check your cult leader ever.
No.
You won't do it. And it's so simple and it's so easy to debunk 90% of what she's saying. It's nuts to me. And one of the things I was pointing out last night on the live stream, she hasn't even went through the charging documents with you guys. She intentionally summarized those documents and fed you the information that she wanted to feed you. And that's a real shame, because there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, one of the other things that a video that I'm going to be making, I'm just going to make a comprehensive kind of, lies video, conspiracies video, going through all the different things that people are saying that are just incorrect and easily proven wrong. Like, he didn't jump off the roof with a rifle. We're going to show you the pictures of that. I put that out today. There were drones up. There's drone footage prior to the show. That was incorrect. Mm-hmm. And I know Frank Turk said that. And what he's referencing is a picture from a 360 camera that was on the upper deck. I understand why he would think it was drone footage. Charlie actually posted that on his Instagram earlier that day before he arrived. And we have pictures of we have that picture, that was taken off of his Instagram, unfortunately. But we have that actual picture. On top of that, we have the guy that was up above the crowd taking that 360 photo. So we're going to go through that. We'll talk about the 30-06. We can deep dive into all. I'm going to deep dive into all that. So all the weird things that people have really poisoned the well early on, they have simple explanations.
Right.
And the fact is what we had people like Candace and everybody within her orbit, Baron Coleman, Candace, Ian Carroll, and several others that are colluding with one another, and they're putting out disinformation, and they poisoned everybody's mind at the beginning to make you think that there's all these weird things, and there are some weird things. All right,
there are, but not as many as people think that there are.
Not even a little bit.
No. And you know, and that's one of the things that Candace regularly does. She takes the benign and she turns it. It's like, oh, look at this. Don't you see how weird that is? Look at this. Look at this. And when you think about all the things that people have put out at the beginning of this and were wrong, everything from the palm guns, tunnels underneath Charlie's seat, the
exploding microphone,
drones that nobody can ever saw that were shooting at Charlie. I mean, just a plethora of bad information right at the beginning that poisoned everybody's minds. And then you still have Candace just regurgitating some of these things, like the Spider-Man thing. Like, oh, you got to be Spider-Man to get on the roof or even to get down. One of the things I kept hearing everybody say in the comments in X was like, no, she wasn't talking about how he got on the roof, which she clearly is, just using the context of what she's talking about in many of her videos. It's that he jumped down from 14 feet or whatever it was. Like, okay. We see a video of a person jumping down.
Right.
Now, if you want to say that's not Tyler, that's fine.
But it's someone.
Yeah, but it's a human, right?
Right.
It's someone. I don't think that's an X-Man. You know, so it's clearly somebody. It's possible that it happened. I mean, and it actually, to me, it points to youth. Like, I could do that when I was 22. If I did that now, I'd probably break a femur. But you know, I mean, I used to jump out of planes for a living, folks. Like, you're falling fast and hard, especially when you got, you know, 100 pounds of gear on you. And that's probably pretty close to equivalent of some of the jumps that people do regularly with a parachute. And we're not talking about like the fancy parachutes with you're using with Halo. Like, you're coming down hard. So a lot of the things that the actual rifle, one of the big things that is a government problem was the fact that we had the governor of Utah.
Is it I don't want to say Kyle, but it's not
Cox? No.
Cox. That's his name.
Governor Cox. Governor Cox did say in one of the early that he had disassembled the rifle before he got off the roof. Again, Governor Cox is a politician. I don't think he's even a very good one. That has never come from law enforcement. That came from a politician that was incorrect. No other law enforcement document has ever said that. No other law enforcement agent has said that. That was him misspeaking. He did not disassemble that rifle before he jumped off that roof. So, you know, a lot of these things are easily proven. And if you want to see it, you will. And I won't even say that. If you're objective and you assess the evidence as it comes in, it's pretty easy to disprove. So again, I mean, I don't know what else to tell so many people out there.
Well, and I think, go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say, one of the tactics, if you just listen to Candace for the full 45 minutes or the 60 minutes of her recorded show, you'll realize that she puts out a lot of information. She puts out a lot of ideas and theories and such like that. One time we were counting in my chat, we just stopped at 18 because she got to 18 different things she had thrown out before the first ad read. I can only imagine how much there were. And we weren't really doing a good job of keeping track of them. The reason I bring that up is because it's almost like it's meant to exhaust your mind to the point that you just say, fine, whatever you tell me, Shauna, fine, I'll just accept it. Because, man, this is Gary, you're throwing too much at me, man. Just, okay, why?
And
fine.
saying it confidently.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Candace will have you doubting your own self. If nothing else, just her confidence level of saying something. Because you can't believe, like, wait, you're saying something so ridiculous. Like a plane is following another plane. That's so ridiculous. But you're so confident. You're like, well, okay, maybe they do that. Maybe they do jump into a plane and say, hey, Pilot Gary, follow that plane. Like, maybe they do it. Maybe I guess so. Because she couldn't be lying to me and be this confident. You can't be like, so I think a lot of this, like the information overload and just the confidence level is, I mean, that's her superpower, is the fact that she's extremely confident.
Well, I mean, that's where the word confidence man or confidence woman comes from, right?
You can't spell confidence without Candace. No.
There is, I posted on X today. There's nothing more dangerous than someone that's wrong that says it confidently. And when you have someone that is so wrong and will say things, and this is the problem that we have even in the firearms world, and we talk about this all the time. It's like when they're teaching techniques that are just dangerous, but they will get up there and they will sell you on this certain firearms technique and like, dude, that is tactically unsound. That's not safe. Don't ever do that again. Well, where did you learn this thing? We have students come in and like, oh man, I had this great instructor and he was, I don't know, hired by Candace and he told me some things. But yeah,
I learned it from Halo, man.
That's right.
Halo will teach you how to shoot a gun, man.
There's a lot of
I feel like people are either like, oh, you have a problem with Candace, so you absolutely believe the mainstream narrative. I haven't seen any evidence that makes me think that Tyler Robinson isn't responsible for it. I'm open to, I definitely think that there were other people involved or at least had knowledge because there's evidence for that. But you can also reject the mainstream narrative and still take issue with what Candace Owens is doing. It's not an either or situation.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and that's something I talked about last night. It's like, I want everybody to come here and we can talk about whatever. And I've opened up this platform. We had, Blake Bednar's where he explained his theory of the exploding microphone. We had a bunch of other people come on. And again, that's not only do I encourage that, I think that's what you need so that you can have people come on and test you and make sure that what you believe makes sense, or you realize like, hey, we all have our own biases, which are our blind spots. So, if I'm sitting here talking to Jason or Shauna and I'm like, hey, this is what I believe. And, they're able to say, well, look, Gary, this is what's going on. And by the way, there's some folks that I kind of talk with. We have a little group chat on X and we do that all the time. It's like, hey, you know what? I think this is going on. And it's where you guys know, like we always have these like undeveloped ideas and, it's not something that you want to put out publicly, but it's like, hey, what do you think about this? It's like, people can sanity check you and you can figure out, hey, is that something worth pursuing or is that just like nobody cares or is it just dumb? And that's what you need in your life. You need people to tell you like, you know what, that's retarded. Like don't even consider that. And here's why. But what we end up doing, because we are tribal animals, is we end up getting in our own echo chambers. And, I don't even have a problem with, I have none of the problem. I don't have a single problem with all the stuff that's going on with Candace. The main thing that I have a problem with and what I'm not going to stand by and stay silent on is when she's accusing people of criminality and murdering Charlie and destroying his legacy. If she was out there, number one, if she get off of her butt and actually go do some real work, and not just sit behind a camera and make millions and millions of dollars. I mean, think about it. This girl is sitting behind a camera. She's 1 hour a day. There's probably 3 or 4 hours. Let's say 3 to 4 hours of prep time. She has producers. I don't even know if it takes her that long. 3 to 4 hours. So she's got about 5 hours of work a day. She's making millions of dollars, most likely millions per month. But I guarantee you she's made over 10 million bucks since in the last 90 days, just between the views, the sponsorships, and everything else that she has going on. And she hasn't even went to UVU one time. Like, that doesn't make sense to me if you're really interested in finding the truth, right?
Right.
And I think some of those things are just very indicative of where her head's at. And what she's doing, and it indicates, a complete lack of I don't know, authenticity, sincerity, whatever you want to call it.
Right. And I'm right there with you. I agree because, getting out there and seeing things like, for example, the whole, how difficult would it be to get on the roof? If she had seen that it would quash a bunch of the silly statements like the Spider-Man statement, but also it actually lends credence to what Brian Harpo said about they were worried about the fact that there was student access to the roof. Because I couldn't conceptualize like, wait, what do you mean student access to the roof? I'm thinking of like some little ladder situation, like in an apartment building almost. But the way, because you went there, Gary, it showed a whole nother side. Like, man, wait, this was not hard at all to get up there at all. So I think she would be advantaged by that. But I don't think ultimately her goal is that. I don't think her goal is to be a real journalist, to give real insight into such of that nature, add value. It is really to muddy the water. Yeah. Okay, here we go right here.
Yeah. So I just want to show you kind of what's going on here. Let me see where we're
Is this from the Egyptian plane, or which one is this? The blue or the yellow plane?
This was the Egyptian plane right here. All right. So again, if you guys see right here in the middle, this is the Charlie Kirk location. Wow. And that's another thing about this. This is super easy to plan as well. So what you guys need to know is like, this is those stairs that I went up, right? Mm-hmm. And this whole walkway and all these areas that are this kind of brick colored are walkways to include this. This is the second story. This is a second story. That over here is a second story. And then up here is a second story back behind where Charlie Kirk was. So you go up here, back here is the computer science building. And this walkway, which is really weird because it really is a path to nowhere. I don't know why they didn't build stairs here, but you just basically keep going straight. And right here is the guardrail, but the roof is level with the actual walkway there. And you just walk right here, and it's 200 foot. It's a 200 foot freaking difference from there to there. And right here is there's a little wall there. And what they say in the charging documents is he jumped over this wall. He assembled. Well, they say he went out of view. And what most of us believe, I think makes sense, is that he actually assembled the rifle there. That's where he assembled the rifle. And I think he had the barreled action off. So it was 2 screws to attach it to the stock. So that would literally take a minute. And then he went up here. And then from here, he had a full line of sight to Charlie's location. So, I mean, it was the thing about this and why it was successful is that it wasn't complicated to plan. And here's the thing. I do think that he had been to UVU before. He talked about in the charging documents when his dad brought it up that Charlie was coming here. He said, oh, that's a stupid place to have it. And again, once you know that it's going to be in the UVU courtyard, which we know was advertised at least by August 27th. I have some text messages or some comments. We had, I'll read this one that was in, and by the way, I heard the same thing from people when I was on the ground there. I was asking people while I was there, there was actually billboards and stuff of this event locally. But this lady on my comment section said on August 14th, 2025, I was moving my son into his dorm at the University of UVU when he told me that Charlie Cook would be at UVU in September and that he was excited to go see him. He didn't go due to a biology test, but this indicates that they were already promoting the event in mid-August. So again, you had 10 days, at least 10 to 14 days to plan this. And once you know that he's going to be here, it's going to be in the UVU courtyard there. There's only one place for him to be. There's only one place.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's not hard to plan from there. And again, if you know this, you can do a Google Maps, a map recon. You can figure out, hey, this looks like a good spot. And I think he'd been there before. I really do. I think he had been there prior to this. But then there was also a bunch of reports where people were saying, there was eyewitnesses saying they actually saw a guy over the railing like a week before the event that was actually right here in the shooting location. So
I was going to say, I wonder if they have security footage of him going there prior to the event.
It would be nice to see for sure. But this was something that was and the thing that most people don't understand, one of the things that irritates me about this is that people try to make him out to be like this young kid. Number one, he's 22 years old. He's a grown man. When I was 22 years old, right around that age, I was running sniper missions in Iraq. I was a sniper team leader at 23, running missions in Iraq during the initial invasion in there. So like, and these kids grow up like my kids. It's crazy to me. We'll start talking about guns and tactics and things like that. We teach CQB and things like that. I've never had them go to those types of courses, but because they play Call of Duty and they play very similar, they're very tactically minded, more so than most people realize, for sure. Oops, that was the wrong. Let me remove this.
There we go. So yeah, I think like as you just showed right there, if Candace really wanted to, if the quote unquote mommy sleuths or the Cantifa really wanted to be genuine, they could really do this and actually have proof and evidence. I think that's the real issue that a lot of people don't appreciate, don't find value in the fact that Candace is forever saying, just trust me.
Yeah.
Like, I got an email from a guy, blah, 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 blah. Trust me. I still want that 920 email. I really want that 920 email because there are so many little nuggets in there. Like that person read out the address, the 920 North King Street address, like
How did
6-7
you figure
times.
that out?
So, okay. So great question. So we watched that video and I was like losing my mind. I was like, this is insane. And I usually set my live streams up the day before, but I had set the next days up already. And somebody came into the comment section the next morning and put a comment that said, Candace read out her lawyer's address, 920 King Street. I said, that's not true. And I just ran over to Chat GPT. I said, is Candace's lawyer in the 920 King building? He said, no. And I deleted the comment because I thought they were sharing wrong information. I said, I don't want to have wrong information on my chat because then people say, oh, see, Jay Witt's over there sharing wrong information. And then something hit me. Like, why don't I check to see if there's any affiliation with the Macrones, Candace, in the 920 building? I asked Chat GPT, is there anything related to the Macrone case in the 920 building? Oh, yeah, sure. It's Candace's lawyers there. I said, you got to be kidding me. How did we miss this? So it wasn't like
she missed it too. So
well, there's that. And remember, she took weeks. According to her testimony, she had been sitting on that email for weeks, she said, verifying it. This is the whole thing with the SUVs, taking dignitaries here, switching license plates, all that kind of, it reads like a Tom Clancy novel. I'm like, at some point, we're going to have to admit, Candace, they're playing you and just, you're reading like the next spy novel. You're reading the next Mission Impossible script. So that's how I came up, and that's how I found out about the 920 building. But it wasn't anything super sleuth. It was literally by happenstance.
That's great.
No, that's interesting. What are some other things that you found that you've some kind of big moments in all of this that you found, Jason?
Well, first of all, I think it's very interesting. She does not give her audience access to any of the information that she reads and such of that nature, or even point them to it. Like even the complaint, the amended complaint from the Macrones, she never brings that up to bear. Candace is notorious for when she gets caught in a lie, an untruth, a less than truthful statement, she'll either double down, AKA the Maroon assassins, or B, she'll just pretend like it never happened. She never said anything about it. Like, ma'am, you did say that, right? You did say that there were tunnels under UVU, right? And nothing ever came of it. Of course, we're always joking about the communist beekeepers because she had this epiphany about bees. So in my mind, really, I feel like some of the things that she points out, besides the fact that they're just really just nothing burgers, they're just ancillary things. There's a gray box sitting on my desk. Oh, she takes it and runs with it. But whenever she's corrected, truthfully, I think Candace would do herself a big favor by actually just saying that she was wrong about things.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would probably see her as being more authentic and genuine, saying, you know what, I was wrong about this, and move on. A lot of people would probably accept it, but she doesn't. She'll double down, AKA talking about the color coordinated assassins at UVU, which kind of goes along with what you were saying, Gary, that this event was broadcast, because Candace won't admit that the event was broadcast before this quote unquote late in the day that she keeps trying to say. You said almost 2-3 weeks ahead of time. So why would there not be people from the community that would be there. Why is that abnormal? Yes, there'll be a lot of people
Of course,
there
yeah.
from the community. It totally makes sense. But no, she has to make it sound like this was a last minute secret espionage. They just threw Charlie out there to the wolves, and only people there were these non-UVU students, and nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the truth is it had been broadcast to the community. It had been broadcast to the community, and that's why the people were there. There was she kind of left it alone, but she was going through newscasts that were interviewing witnesses. And there was this poor woman. She worked for the I don't remember the police department as a dispatcher, and she clearly had taken a day off to be at UVU to hear Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Just a chick that worked in the police force. It's so weird that she's not at work today. Why is she not at work? Like, she was dogging a woman out that she had took the day off, took an FMLA day to go see Charlie Kirk at UVU. And I'm surprised she didn't like have people going after chasing after the poor woman. But it's things like that and there's been a lot of those that just keep popping up. And I think truly the plane thing, in my opinion, was thrown out there as a, chasing after a phantom. And look where we are now.
One thing I just came across yesterday, I wanted to show you guys this. I thought this was interesting. So I was going through, number one, it dawned on me, and I'll show this picture to you guys. You guys see that, right? I can't see our screen. Mm-hmm. So this is her going through the charging documents. And these are the summarized versions of this charging document. She doesn't go through that, and she leaves out, because again, I was thinking about like why did she leave out this portion of the charging document or that portion of the charging document? So these have been summarized probably by her producer. That's what's going on there. But there's like a piece of breaking news in here that she didn't share with anybody that blows my mind. I mean, I know why she didn't do it, but I want you guys to look right here. Dad says, according to the indictment, he picked up the phone and Tyler told him he was suicide. So this is like between 10:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. And one of the things that Candace has said multiple times, like, where was he during this event? Where were they? Where did he go? What was he doing? So our sources assert that he went to buy a new gun to replace. This is her own documents. And that's what her source says, that he was trying to replace this gun. And then later on, he talks about how the gun is, very unique. Of course it is. It's a,
of course.
It's a Mauser, and it's an old gun. But again, he was trying to find a way to buy a new gun, but she never actually shares that during this episode. And that's just another.
She does that all the time.
Yeah, it's just another example of information that she has. Another thing I want to show you guys real quick too, because I wanted to see this compared to what the episode was going to reveal today, because she put this. Well, this is a whole nother thing. Brandon Tatum putting this piece of trash out, which is.
I'm disappointed in him because he's been one of the only people that has been critical of her, even though he hasn't been saying her by name, calling her by name. He's been, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is the preamble to her episode today. I listened to it. And what I said in this compared to this was, guaranteed the information comes with zero proof other than a source told me, which was 100% correct. Her source is likely a disinfo agent. I don't know if that guy's a disinfo agent or just wrong about some things. But what we know is that there was absolutely zero evidence that came with this. It is a source telling her about this wild story of him walking in on this meeting full of lieutenant colonels. And today is the day that the government can no longer deny it. Charlie Kirk was assassinated and our military was involved. And the other thing that she said that's not true is that Brian Harpole, she said this guy saw Brian Harpole in this meeting. This was
crazy.
September 9th. Okay. Brian Harpole was in Asia with Charlie September 9th. And I have confirmed that. So again, she's putting out more bad information. She's lying to people. And one of the things that you were talking about, Jason, is that how she never says that she's wrong. It's more than that. She never goes back. She keeps everybody tied in, even though she'll move to another entity that is now guilty of killing Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. The other people are, and they're exclusionary, right? It's like if the French did it and Israel did it. I don't think TPUSA was involved, and definitely not the security team or whatever else, right? So, but
Right,
she never
there you go.
goes back and lets these other people off the hook. Say, you know what, I was wrong for, suggesting that those people were guilty of murder.
Let me tell you why I think she does that. Because this is the giant. I mean, this is going to be a global cabal. Do not be surprised if there's another nation state brought into it. Finland, watch out. New Zealand, be careful. Congo, Wakanda, duck. I mean, do not be surprised when another nation state gets drug in. It's going to be a global situation. That's what she's trying to make it.
And focused on her. Right?
It's all going to be focused on her.
Yeah.
Did you like Wakanda? I was going to say Latveria, but I don't know if anybody remembers that. Shout out to Latveria. But
you see over in the shadows, I'm pretty sure that's the Black Panther.
Well, there you go. And so that's why she's never lets them off the hook. Because who was surprised when she brought France up? Me? I was like, how in the world did France get brought in here? But she never let them off the hook. So they're always on the line. So the line is still running. And eventually she's going to pull it taut and start reeling them back in.
So after she left Turning Point and after she left, the Daily Wire, like ever since then.
No, PragerU.
She has been on this anti-Israel kick, and she's been on this France kick. And then Charlie Kirk is assassinated, and somehow within 30 to 60 days later, it all comes back to her original enemies to begin with, and the people that happen to be suing her. It's so bizarre, it's so unbelievable that if you do believe it, I'm just going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you.
Right.
You know what I think is interesting is the mental gymnastics that she is doing to create motivation around people that were closest to Charlie. And she is accusing I don't want to say every group, because every relevant group of people, with the exception of the Democrats and Islam. And two groups that, and I'm not saying that they're involved, but I'm saying they definitely would have motive. And she won't even sniff in that direction. I think that's really interesting.
Or trans Tifa, or the whole
trans Tifa,
like
blue-haired septum ring people.
Nope. And look. I mean, I think that's who killed him, right? So we had this. We had this Tyler Robinson, who was whatever with this trans furry. That was I don't know if you guys have watched the what was the video? I'll think of it in a minute. Anyways, the Turkey Tom video. Have you guys watched the Turkey Tom video?
I've seen clips of it with their friend Lance Twig and Tyler's friend. Yes.
One of the most compelling videos that needs to get I don't care where you're at on the Charlie Kirk story, you need to go watch, and I'll put a link to that down in the description to that specific video. It is one of the most compelling videos. And what this is a friend of theirs that has given actual proof of who he is to Turkey Tom. And he goes through and he shows them video, he shows them clips, and it's this guy's story and testimony about his interaction with Lance and Tyler and what was going on with them. And again, he has pictures inside the apartment that have all been verified, pictures of them together. Like there's no reason to doubt that. It is the testimony with the most amount of proof that we've seen in this entire thing. And it is talking about how crazy Lance was. And what I think you have is this couple, Tyler and Lance, and Tyler is, trying to please this alpha, crazy, insane person and almost trying to, the sense that I get is he's almost trying to show his loyalty and his dedication to this partner that is clearly crazy. It thinks, he's trans and all the other stuff. But it gets nuts. And that's what we have. We have this guy that was taking issue. The number one person speaking out about trans anything was actually Charlie Kirk and the female athlete.
Riley
Gaines. Those two have what we were being overran by legislation and other things taking place in our country where the trans community was taken over. Like they were running this place. We had literally mental patients that were writing legislation in our different states, and it was getting to the point of federal where we're allowing boys to go in women's locker rooms, boys to play in women's sports. Completely crazy stuff that shouldn't happen in any country. And everybody was just sitting around like, oh, well, yeah, we got to be nice. And the reality is that Republicans and conservatives have been, I don't know, shamed into silence for a really long time.
That's fair.
And, they were the first ones that really spoke out about this. And that's what we had. We had someone that was already crazy, that already has mental issues. And then they decided that they were going to take Charlie Kirk out. And like in the mental gymnastics that they're doing to get Tyler off is insane. Like, oh, this guy's not. And that's the other.
Candace has even said that she thinks that he's involved and that Lance Twiggs might be involved. So then why are you saying that they're like, you're admitting that
correct,
you think that they might be involved. So like, why don't you just wait until a trial?
No, you can't, because that doesn't feed her narrative.
I know.
That doesn't get clicks and views.
And then also, like, which one seems more plausible? Which one seems to make more sense? Like, I mean, she's put together a story that nobody could come together by themselves, which seems very like no one else. I'm always open to somebody convincing me. I always tell them, like, convince me from scripture and I'm good. You can convince me from there. But don't cobble together a theology. Don't cobble together a doctrine or something, and now I got to follow it because you've put it together and made it yourself. But if I can see clearly, and if because this is what I think won't happen. If Candace were to show all of her evidence, let's just pretend that she really did have it and it was showable, like she could upload it onto a website or whatever of that nature. Most people will look at her and say she's crazy as a lark.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't lead me to where nobody would have led to the 920 building looking at your evidence, ma'am. Nobody would have got there. So therefore, she has to be the storyteller. I keep all the information and I just give it to you. Drip feed it out however I want to, because otherwise nobody else would come to this place. I don't think anybody would, realistically.
She was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
The entire conservative, but the entire conservative movement everybody would be upset with her. But because it's Candace Owens, it's a different story.
Well, and look, I think it's clear, like, we have been abused by our government. We've been lied to by our government, all of those things. And so we are primed right now to be skeptical, to say the least, of what our government has to say. And I say this every episode. Look, I don't ever believe anybody. I don't believe the government. I don't believe Candace. I don't believe any other social media person. I don't just look at somebody and say, you know what, I like you, so I'm just going to believe in you. And that's what a lot of people do. That's with politicians and everything else. They vote for them or they believe them because they like them, right? And it doesn't, and that's how con men and con women win you over. They get you to trust them, and now you'll believe whatever they say. So I don't care who the narrative is coming from. I don't care if it's the government narrative, it's the Candace narrative. Like, the narrative that I'm going to end up with is the one that has the most evidence. And right now, what you're asking me to do, if you ask me to believe Candace or any other narrative that's out there in the zeitgeist, is say, hey, look, Gary, we have this narrative over here that, by the way, has a lot of evidence. And forget about what's in the charging documents, just the evidence that we've seen. Like the video evidence that hasn't been tampered with, that was released day one. We saw someone up on the roof, right? We saw somebody up on the roof. There's pictures of it from the side of a person catching them on the roof. We saw someone leave the roof. We saw someone jump off the roof and run towards, I've walked that whole path right over to where the rifle was found. We see all that. And then we see everything else. And then you attach what we know. There's DNA evidence on the gun. There's DNA evidence on the unspent cartridge. There's DNA evidence on the spent cartridge. There's DNA evidence on the towel. We know he jumped off the roof with the gun. If you guys would like, over in the comments, I'll show you some pictures that clearly show that there is a rifle in that person's hand. I know it's a shit video. Like, I get it. But we're zoomed in, it's cropped in, and it's not a very good video. But there's some key elements that you can look at there that kind of give you an idea of what's going on with it visually. So, like, with all of that evidence, you say, you know what? There's a couple of weird things, so we're going to throw all that out. We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and then we're going to go with this other narrative that is less likely, less plausible, and has less evidence, because I refuse to believe something that's labeled the official narrative. Like, it's silly logic. And the other logic that really irritates me is, I see it in the comments all the time. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Well, JFK was killed by our government, so was Charlie Kirk. If this is true, then this is true logic.
Is true.
It's ridiculous.
It is lazy. It's dumb and it's silly, and that's exactly how you get tricked using that type of logic. That's not logic. That's just dumb. That's using some sort of rule of thumb that doesn't work in reality, and it doesn't work. And the differences between JFK and what we have here couldn't be more stark. Like, we have lots of people with cell phones. We have all kinds of other information. We have surveillance footage. We have all kinds of stuff. You can't even compare the two. It's not even close.
If somebody was to say, the government isn't trustworthy, we've been lied to, I'm upset with this particular administration because of Epstein stuff, I get it.
Yeah.
If you want to dismiss all of the available information as being BS because it came from them, okay, fine. That's the information we have. You don't trust it. That's fine. You can't go then create an entire another narrative that has no evidence at all to support it.
Yeah.
That's illogical.
Right. That is the problem.
And folks, one of the things I will say, Shauna actually sent me a bunch of different, long story short, some of the documents that Shauna sent me, I will post on my X today, so that you guys can go through some of that information and take a look at that and verify that for yourself as well. We'll get that to you. Speaking of evidence or whatever else we got going on, but just on the face of it, the whole airplane thing has never made sense to me. It doesn't make sense now. There's so many easier ways to track someone. It's 2025. You can do electronics, like there's so many ways to track somebody today that you can do it remotely, that none of it even makes sense.
Shauna, did you find any reason why she was even, like, again, planes on that tracking aspect did not make sense at all. But why was she even going with that? Like, did you find any good reasons?
No. I have no idea. I suspect that Candace is sent information, and if it goes with her, and to be fair, how can you possibly be fact checking all of this information every single day? Because she's doing these podcasts 5 days a week. You can't thoroughly, but she should be, right? She has a responsibility to be fact checking the information she's putting out. But I think that she's very biased, and that if somebody sends her something that corroborates her narrative or what she thinks, she just kind of goes with it.
I agree with that. And that's why I think, again, whether it's political operatives or foreign adversary operatives, I think she is easily tricked putting out information. She's not going to verify it.
And I'm wondering if she is if there is bad actors, foreign governments that are using her as a tool to create all of this chaos and division and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know, for all of the people that are like conspiratorial mindset, like all of that, they're not at all stopping and questioning, like, man, in the past 2 months, look at what has happened. Look at what's happened to Turning Point. This is the most effective boots on the ground conservative organization in the entire country that played a large role in this last election. And now suddenly everybody's turning on them. You don't find that interesting. You're not asking any questions about that. You don't think it's weird.
They were the reason that we beat Kamala Harris. The reason.
Yeah.
Again, Charlie Kirk is attributed with 2.5 million votes. We won that election by 2.3 million votes. I think that contribution to Charlie Kirk is probably low. But the fact is that's what we did. And on top of that, what we did was we kind of secured future elections until a couple of months ago. We secured future elections because of the conservative revival that we were having amongst the youth that is also directly that Charlie Kirk was directly responsible for. So what this is about is, number one, Charlie Kirk's dead. And then on top of that, what they're doing is they're destroying TPUSA, they're destroying his legacy, and they're destroying the momentum that the conservative movement had. Again, you can say whatever you want about the Trump administration. It is 1,000 times better than a Biden administration or whatever Democratic administration that we might have in 2028. And also, what's really pivotal is notice that all this stuff is happening too around the midterms. That is not by coincidence. They are exploiting the weakness that we have in America, which is that all of us don't trust our government, and that is mostly our government's fault, and mostly, by the way, the Biden administration's fault. All right, look, Trump's government has some stuff going on too, but under Biden is when we had J6. The most egregious things that took place were under Biden during COVID. Trump's responsible for some of the COVID
Summer
stuff.
of Love. Don't forget the Summer of Love.
Summer of Love. All of that. So, there's plenty to go around, but again, the biggest problem that we had the lowest point of government trust was definitely under the Biden administration, at least from my standpoint.
Yeah,
Seeing what we did with January 6th, And the way that they, weaponized our own justice system against people protesting while they let all the George Floyd people murder, burn, destroy, and they didn't
set up autonomous zones.
Autonomous zones.
I mean,
it's crazy work.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
I feel like because there's been things like COVID and those types of things where truthers or whatever, we got it right. I think there's a lot of people on the conservative side who think that, well, we didn't feed into this and we didn't feed into that, so we can't be propagandized. And I think that that's a mistake and that's naive because we're watching it happen. You know, everybody's opinions should always be based on evidence and not based off of what one person is saying or what the mob thinks or whatever. And I feel like people have just thought that, well, the government lies to us. And so, I'm just going to be contrary just for the sake of being contrary. And that's not.
Yeah, that's not smart. It's not smart.
No, it's not.
Yeah. We'll do now is we'll jump into some, what were you going to say, Jason?
I was going to say, somebody mentioned on my side that, and I don't know how this works, but apparently like her sources or those persons giving her out are ranked in her live stream. So it's almost like there's a benefit or dare I say an incentive to give information in her live stream. And of course, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening in her tips line as well, is that there's an incentive. Like, I want you to shout me out. She shouted out several people on X today. I want to be that person. Let me get you some information. And let's not forget, she weaponized all of Tennessee against some Russian CEO that doesn't even live there. Like, she had the wrong picture, for crying out loud. No.
She shouted out Ryan Mata, which is one of the biggest. Look, I know Ryan. I have his phone number. I was talking to him pretty regularly at the beginning of this. He gave me some information that confirmed one of my own things, and I almost put it out. I was like, I just don't trust that information. But there was that urge of mine, like, oh, I knew I was right. And come to find out I was wrong. And I admitted I was wrong. And if I had put that information out that I didn't trust, that it would have made me feel good in that moment. But number one, now I'm using unverified sources that would have undermined. And I said from the beginning, hey, I'm speculating on this thing that I thought that Charlie had body armor on. And I'm speculating, but it explains some things. And come to find out I was wrong. And the moment that I had that information, number one, I stated at the beginning, I'm speculating this isn't fact. Number two, the moment that I had that information, I put it out that I was incorrect. And number three, again, I had a source, what Ryan told me, and I literally have it on my X account, is that he said he talked to a person that knows the surgeon that worked on Charlie, and he confirmed that he definitely had body armor on. And man, I was super tempted to put that out. And I'm glad I didn't. It would have because now I have this source and I'm trying to use this source's credibility. It would have just undermined my credibility even further. So anyway, she shouted out Ryan Mata, Ian Carroll, and the crazy Mel, the crazy village lady. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Which again are some of they're her proxies, and they coordinate, they work together. And what they do is they are constantly reposting her stuff and spreading her message, and like the little minions that they are. And then so they get the dear leader, gives them a little bit of kickback through some shout outs. We'll get to some questions right now, and we'll just kind of go through these. Kelly, thank you for coming.
Kelly.
Thank you very much. Look at this. Jay Witt gets 5 Paramount Tactical memberships. That's nice of you, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank y'all for having me.
I was trying to super chat you today and tell you on your live stream, hey, I wanted to invite you. And anytime I would write something in super chat, it wouldn't let it go through. So I was still able to send you a super chat. I just couldn't add any text to it. And I tried it for like 20 minutes. I was on there for 20 minutes. Anyways, it was I don't know what was going on with that.
Wait, can we go back?
Peanut on French toast?
Yeah, can we have a conversation about what is this?
I didn't mean to blow through this, Bronson, because it's been coming up the last couple of days. So what happened was my wife and I were traveling, and I took a picture of our beautiful breakfast. It was French toast, and he was like, "Why is there no French peanut butter on there?" I'm like, "What kind of psycho are you? Putting peanut butter on French toast?" So what's your guys' thoughts on this?
I've never done it, but I feel like peanut butter can go on most things.
Not on toast.
I'm not a big French toast person.
I'm not either, but
I just can't. I'm really trying to wrap my mind. I'm really like, where can I get some French toast tomorrow? Like, where can I get some French toast and find some peanut butter? I can't imagine this. I'm going to go with no just to be safe. If I find myself around some French toast and the waitress brings me some peanut butter, then we will have another discussion. But I'm going to go with no for right now. But what's wrong with you? Why would you even put that on there in the first place?
because peanut butter goes on a lot of things.
To me, it's like people that eat mayonnaise with French fries. All right.
I grew up with a girl that ate mayonnaise and peanut butter sandwiches.
Ugh. All right. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on from there.
Candace said that Chewbacca was a yellow plane. She must be a Wookiee spanker. I don't even know what a Wookiee spanker is, but it sounds provocative.
It does sound bad.
Thank you for the super sticker. She's brought so many communities together. Maybe the French, Israeli, Egyptian beekeeper assassination plot was the friends we made along the way. I like your positive outlook on that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Why is the Candace Owens cult so brainwashed? Do you think it's satanic? I think the word satanic, demonic, and all this stuff is getting thrown around a bit too much. I think any deception obviously is inherently demonic and satanic and all those things. But just like Zionist and racist, and like, I think we're starting to overuse those words a bit. Look, I think we are in the middle of spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a very important element of this. Our country has moved so far away from God and our Christian heritage. And I don't care what anybody says out there. This country was founded by Christians. And there is an element, look, the further we get away from those godly principles that most of us grew up with, and even going back further, like, we're not becoming a better nation. Like liberalism, all of these different isms that come from a very ungodly place, don't make us better. Like, we're getting worse and worse and worse as people. We can't think for ourselves. We have no discernment. We seek out evil things, and I think that's just part of it. Do you guys have anything on that?
Oh, absolutely.
I have friends that are Christian women that are following Candace, and they're totally on board with what she's doing. I don't get it. It's puzzling to me. All I'll say about Candace in that regard is that I don't see any fruits of the Spirit in her on her live streams, but I don't know her in real life.
Yeah. I mean, all she's done is brought a lot of division, a lot of hatred.
She's being incredibly reckless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jake?
If you jump to Romans 1:18 and just read from there, you see that I believe Candace's people don't want truth. They don't want the reality of what is. So therefore, they have been given to a mind that can be considered brainwashed or reprobate or given over to conspiracies. I did a video a long time ago about Candace being a Christless conservative. And one of the points I make is that her conservatism isn't rooted in the reality of who God is. It's just the fact that most people, logical people, believe a man and a woman are necessary to make little people. That's just, so that would be a conservative value. Men and women get married, have little people. Yeah. You don't have to be a Christian to believe that.
That's where we are right now.
Yeah. Right, that's where we are right now. We've got to get real basic and elementary. Yeah. But I don't think that, because I don't believe Candace's conservatism, I don't believe she ever really was a conservative. I believe she's been cosplaying for a decade. Yeah. But it's not rooted in the reality of who God is. So therefore, she can turn her back on it. When she comes up next week and says she's a Muslim, don't be surprised. Or sovereign citizen, do not be shocked. Do not be shocked. Because come on, you hear sovereign citizen language in her turn and the stuff she says all the time.
Well, this is let's go back a second for that if this then that kind of logic, right? So if we're going to apply, well, JFK was shot, so Charlie was too. Now let's go back to all the other conspiracies. If the Earth isn't flat, then whatever conspiracy you have over here is not real either. Like we can do the same thing. As a matter of fact, you're going to come out on the losing end. There's lots and lots of conspiracies that I think most of us normal minded people are going to say that's a little crazy for me.
For sure.
And most of the QAnon, look, I never saw JFK Jr. come back. I was waiting for it. I was waiting. I had this conversation last night. I had friends at my work.
Just trust the plan.
They were so into this. They were like, Gary, I'm telling you, just wait and see. JFK Jr. is going to be back. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll wait and see. He never came. So, like, if you want to play that game, if that's the logic you're going to use, that logic can be turned around on you, and it just shows you the fallacy of that logic to begin with. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Candace used her show for modern day witch trial. That is such a good point. That really is. I hadn't really thought about that. I've even said it's kind of a witch hunt, but I never thought about it as like, the modern day Salem witch trials where, she's just, for whatever reason, because she's mad at her neighbor or mad at this person or doesn't like this entity, she's, basically accusing them of all these horrific things. That's a great point.
Or they put peanut butter on French toast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Bronson.
Get them.
We got to get you started, right, brother. We need to get you. She spews lies, asks her cult to vet or find the evidence, and they go out and assassinate everyone that claims to be a witch. This is another point. All right. This is a really bad place to start from. And that's where she and a lot of her people and a lot of other people are starting from too. You're starting off with a conclusion and then you're looking for evidence.
Yeah.
That's not an investigation. That is a witch hunt. So, again, we look at the evidence and then we look at what's plausible based on that evidence. That's the way it's supposed to go. And then on top of that, the other thing is if you have a hypothesis, you want to try to disprove your hypothesis. That's how you come to some truth. But when all you're doing is you're looking through videos, trying to find the evidence of drones and trying to find the evidence of palm guns and iPhone guns and tunnels underneath the city and, midget assassins jumping up out of, these
Ninja Turtles, man. Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles. Like, you're going to end up on the wrong side of the truth. And then the crazy thing is all these people castigate everybody else saying, oh, well, I hope your Jew money's great. Your shekels, you're a Zionist, you're a Fed. It's just that is an insecurity that you can't even come on here with a logical argument to
it's the laziest.
Yeah.
Right. Let me make sure I got it right. Mm-hmm. Gary choosing to critique Candace makes him a Fed. But Candace speaking all of the mad recklessness that she does wholesale.
Yeah.
She's not a Fed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even at the very beginning of this, when all I said was look, I don't know what's true. Before we had 3 months going into this, a couple weeks into this, I don't know what's true, but what I do know is not true is that's not a palm gun. And I did a video on why that's not a palm gun. I did a video on why the exploding mic is dumb. All right. Look, I used to work with a lot of explosives. I did it my whole special forces career. I know what explosives look like. You're trying to defy physics, telling me that we had an explosive underneath his shirt that had enough energy to kill him, but it didn't burn the shirt. It didn't rip the shirt. It didn't do anything. We still have standard physics to work with, right? We equal and opposite reaction. Just starting with those things, I was a Fed, and I'm done with it. You can call me a Fed. You can do whatever you want. I don't really care.
No, I put out a couple videos fact checking her information, and I would just have people, oh, you're being paid by Israel. Oh, I stand with Candace. It's you can stand with Candace. What does that have to do with what I just said?
It means I'm going to believe Candace regardless of the evidence.
Yeah.
That's what that really means.
Well, if you followed her during the Becoming Brigitte series, there was actually she puts out terminologies and phraseologies for the masses to run with. So one of them was, and I remember almost, you can tell the day that she puts it out there because your comment section and your live chat will have them in there. And the one they don't watch my show. So that was a big thing. If you guys
would watch her whole show, you would see
if you watch all 8 episodes I put the challenge out there. I say, hey, I'll put a video out there. If you get this video to a certain number of likes, I'll watch the whole thing as a live stream. They clearly weren't willing to get their ducks in a row. But I digress. So they get these little catchphrases that which are proverbially sticking their fingers in their ears, saying, no, I can't hear you. It allows them to feel safe. So they'll say, hey, Candace brings receipts. Candace speaks the truth. I stand with Candace. And that's supposed to be the stopper. That's supposed to stand up the defense and really ruin everybody's life. Like, oh, you stand with Candace. I guess I can stop now. And they never actually have taken the time to think about what they're saying.
Which it's so funny. You said how they're like, oh, Candace always brings receipts. Candace always brings receipts. But they'll say she's just asking questions. You have a problem with her asking questions. And it's like, well, do you bring receipts for when you're asking questions? No, you bring receipts when you're accusing somebody.
That too. And I say, well, hey,
even coming to some sort of conclusion. Like that's the thing. And that's one of the things I talked about. It's like, okay, fine. The freaking French Foreign Legion and Israeli assassin were there. All right. But that's who killed Charlie, so they could stop you from investigating Brigitte Macron. Makes perfect sense. Fine. Tell me where they were. Like, where did the shot come from? Who was up on the roof? Was that Tyler? Was that not Tyler? Was that the real assassin? If they did, okay, and it wasn't a 30-06, did you think this multi-nation assassin squad, they planned all this out? They were so sophisticated, so well-trained that they got away with it. No one saw them. No one heard them. They didn't even spot them in the crowd. They shot them with a different weapon, and they were like, oh, you know what? Hey, what was the weapon that the Patsy had? 30-06. Oh, I brought 5.56 today. We messed that up. Like that's what you think. That's what you think they're going to do. Like that is less probable. And I'm going to put out a whole video on the ballistics of this, folks. But that is so much less probable than a 30-06 not exiting. Which, by the way, folks, again, all you got to do is look at Martin Luther King. He was shot in the face with a 30-06. He was shot at 65 yards, less than half the distance of where Tyler Robinson was, because that's who shot him, but less than half the distance. And we didn't have an exit wound. It severed his spine. It did not exit. And matter of fact, it caused so little damage. He still had an open casket. So it didn't blow off his head like you people are saying. And I know all of you folks out there that are suddenly ballistics experts. This is what I do for a living. So you can talk about whatever you want. And, to me, it's just noise. You don't know what you're talking about. And I can say that without knowing. We don't know a single thing about the ammunition used. And that's kind of a critical point.
That's a good point.
Speaking to the French Foreign Legion, when she put out all of the information about this threat on her life, she said that her source told her that Charlie's assassin trained with them as well. Okay. Well, then who is it? Who is it? Did they not give you a name? Okay, great. Why are you not putting out information online asking tips about that? Why are you not hyper focused on that? Because that would be the best tip that she's received. This person knows specifically who it is. So why are you not throwing all of your energy into that? And why haven't you said anything else about that since? Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Gary, for hosting the wittiest YouTube creator at Health Suburbs. You're in Marietta?
Yeah.
Atlanta. Cool. No, when I met my wife, she was living in Atlanta. We appreciate generous support and invite to collaborate. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Amethyst.
Yeah. No, I love doing this. It's so much more fun to have people on when we do these shows. I get tired of hearing myself talk. Mention her sources, ranking her live. We did that. You were all over it, Gary.
And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, and we were talking before we jumped on. Our live chats are entirely too dialed in. Don't be surprised that our live chat has already probably found out that whole misnomer about Brian Harpole being at the quote unquote whatever was going on in Arizona and being on the other side of the world in Asia at the same time. Don't be surprised that other people pick that up because they catch her stories all the time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Keith, the developer, says, to me, this Charlie Kirk security team failed. The YouTube people that interviewed the CEO of security was too soft, especially on why they didn't use drones. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a breakdown, and I know many of you aren't going to like this. So I trained PSD, personal security details, for the Department of State diplomatic security. These were people that were protecting high-ranking diplomats and people overseas. All right, so that's what I did for a living. What you don't understand, and you people, like, there's a bunch of Monday morning quarterbacking going on when you don't even understand the game that's being played. And here's the thing. UVU never stop being responsible for their physical security. All right. That roof is their roof. The PSD team is responsible for about a 30-yard bubble around the protectee. That's all they can do. They were a 13-man team. What everybody's expecting is the Secret Service detail that the President of the United States gets. That doesn't work.
Right.
That every time the President of the United States travels to a place, there are over 100 people on the ground. All right. And that's not including the fact that they are able to call in and basically demand that they get local law enforcement to support. A private security detail does not have arrest powers. They don't have any of the authority or anything else that's going on. The other thing to realize with this, when it comes to the roof security. All right. So if there was a person that was up there on that roof, like a personal security detail cannot mitigate sniper like that. They just can't. I don't mean like sniper, but they can't protect against long range shots. If somebody would go up to that UVU roof, you guys saw how easy it was to go up there. Maybe I'll play the video again here. It's a minute long or so. I'll show it for people that don't know. If you want to see it in the comments, put it down there. But you can walk right up there, right? UVU said they had the roof secured. They probably went and checked the roof and it wasn't maintained. They had a very small amount of staff on hand. And this is UVU. Like they have their own law enforcement division there. They have like 22 law enforcement cops and they had like 6 there that day. When we have a crowd of over 3,000. And by the way, I know because we mapped it, that area that you would want to be responsible for security is like over 150 acres of rooftop and everything else. So yeah, that person, Tyler Robinson, was on that particular roof. Do you expect, this is the other question I have for everybody. Oh, well, let me go back to the roof. If somebody had went up there on the roof and decided to crawl out on the roof just to watch Charlie, just because they wanted a better viewpoint or something like that, and they fell off that roof, who would have been responsible? Would it be Charlie Kirk's security team? Is that who would have got sued? No, the UVU, that is their physical property, and that is their physical security problem. Same thing goes with, do you know how many rooms that have windows that had a view of Charlie Kirk? Was it Brian Harpole's job to go look and secure, number one, clear every single one of those rooms that have a window that could have been shot through, and then maintain security on them throughout the entire thing? They don't have the staffing or the capabilities. And lastly, I want to make a point that there were 3,000 people in that area. Mm-hmm. That is that campus allows concealed carry. There was at least 10% of the people there that I bet you had guns. So we're talking about 300 guns within 50 yards or so of Charlie Kirk. And that's what the security team knew that. That was part of their risk assessment. So that's what they're focused on. There was 13 guys from that security team. Like Charlie understood that they couldn't mitigate all risks. Charlie, number one, they tried to get him to wear body armor. He wouldn't. Charlie didn't even want the guardrails completely closed so that the person asking him a question would have direct access to Charlie. There wasn't a metal barrier there. That was Charlie's request. The security team, a private security team, does not have veto authority. They don't say, nope, we don't like this place, we're leaving, Charlie. That's not how that works. Those private security are glorified bellboys. All right. You're going to do whatever the client wants you to do. You may not like that, but that was Charlie's choice. And that happens all the time. And by the way, even with diplomatic security agents, when they're covering an ambassador, like, hey, sir, we don't want to go to this location, or we think we should have these guns. Like, nope, you're going to put those long guns away. You're not going to show any gun. You're going to have a concealed gun. And we're going to go in there with 3 people in this hostile area, which is a great example of that was Ambassador Stevens in Libya. His entire security team told him he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. He went anyway. And guess what? They got overwhelmed. And it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the drones, UVU would not allow people to fly drones. That's a fact. All right. So I know that because I went there and tried to fly drones. And quit trying to pretend that a drone is some sort of security panacea. Like, that was a 150-acre area out there. You would need at least 4 drones in the air to be able to see everything at all times at a minimum. So, and by the way, TPUSA never requested drone coverage from the security. All right. That's not what they did plan on putting drones up in that air for media content. All right. That's what they were going to do. They were told they couldn't. Like all of these things, if you want counter sniper teams, you want drone coverage, like security companies can potentially provide some of those things, but the client has to request it. And they didn't want that. And that's not what they wanted. And the security team isn't going to sit there and get in a pissing argument with the owner of the property saying, no, we're going to put up drones. And there's not an option where they spent all the time and money marketing this to say, no, Charlie, they won't let us put up drones or do whatever we want, so we got to leave. Charlie wouldn't have had that. Charlie knew the risks, and unfortunately, somebody took advantage of the risk. And the only people that are responsible for Charlie's death is the person that pulled the trigger, and anybody else that knew about it, whether they were on Discord chats, whether they were friends with him, or whatever else. So, like, this idea that security failed is dumb. All right. They did what they could, and they were able to mitigate threats about 30 yards. UVU is probably going to get sued over the fact that they didn't cover that rooftop. And when you have 3,000 people, there was 13 of them. What's that number? Like 200 and something to 1. So each one of the people out, every one of those security guards out there had to monitor 200 plus people that could potentially have a firearm at any time. And that was the most likely threat, by the way. The most likely threat is somebody going to come up close and try to shoot Charlie at, right at that guardrail distance.
Right.
So, like, you guys can Monday morning quarterback all you want. Every time that the president goes to one of these events, it's millions of dollars per event. All right. Some of you are saying, hey, there's that's a $10 million contract that ISI, the security company, had. It wasn't $10 million a year. And even if it was $1 million a year, they're going to like 50 places at a time per year. Like you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. You just don't understand the game, and you're trying to Monday morning quarterback that game that you've never played before. And you think that suddenly you're a subject matter expert in it, and it's silly. All right. Sorry. I had to get that off my chest. Gary, thank you for covering this. Great information and content. Great guests. You were greatly appreciated. Well, thank you. And I want to say thank you to our guests for coming on. We'll have to do some more stuff together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I believe the military tipster from today was a dishonorable mental illness discharge, probably a paranoid schizophrenic. Here's what I'll say. Like, I demand proof out of Candace. I would just say, like, we don't even know. We don't even know if this person's real, to be honest with you. I'm sure it is, given some of the details she gave. I would just be careful about, diagnosing someone like that. But you could be right.
Let me support Captain Jackson. Just say, I think Candace needs to be because there hasn't been one tip that has come through her tip line that has been proved to be valid. I mean, every one of her bombshell tips has fallen flat on his face. So I would suggest that, just to push back, and I agree, might be a little bit much, but hey, Candace needs to do the work of really vetting this person. She literally said that she got this information while she was lying in bed. So let's just pretend that she was going to bed at 10 o'clock last night. And she got this information and called that person immediately. We're going on almost 12 o'clock at night. You're receiving this information. When did you vet it? You went online. You went live at 5:30.
Well,
with honest.
Yeah,
vetting.
no.
Go ahead.
Your point is 100% valid. She's saying he sent her all these kind of documents and all this other stuff. All those things can be forged, especially if you're dealing with an entity that's sophisticated. They can easily come up with a backstory. What I'm curious
about, he's feeding your narrative.
What I'm curious about is how many tips she's gotten that deconstructs her narrative.
I wonder about that.
That's a good question.
And she doesn't report on them.
Yeah, I mean, she has clearly intentionally left things out of the charging documents that she went over, sort of, the summarized, cherry-picked version of it. She's left out a lot of details to convince people of a certain narrative, and those are just facts. Let's see. If Bridget McCrone is mad at Candace calling her a dude, Brittany Griner must hate my guts. Okay. Did Candace Owens have influence on Tim Pool's shooting? I don't think that's fair to say. We don't know. I mean, the timing of it's suspicious, right? I mean, what do you guys
for sure? No, I think just the world that we're currently in played a big role in. I mean, that we can't have civil discourse. We can't have civil disagreements and agree to disagree or just be amicable. No, we have to now go to extreme. So, I mean, Charlie Kirk regretfully was the most extreme, but these other instances, it seemed like, the byproduct of it.
I agree.
I look, I'm just telling you this objectively, folks. I've gotten a lot of harassment and everything else from the leftists. I've never seen what we're seeing with the Candace crowd.
Yep.
And most of these people, I would think that other than the things that I disagree with Candace on, most of them we agree politically or in almost every area, like 98%. But yet
they can't tolerate it though.
No, if you question the leader, like you need to be in hell. Like you need to. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. So take that for what it is. Ryan Matta is a scumbag. The day after Charlie was shot, he declared Israel killed Charlie before information was put out. Look, Ryan Matta and Ian Carroll both have put out horrendous tweets about Charlie Kirk before he died. Saying all kinds of horrific things about him, and now they're part of the investigation for justice for Charlie. Give me a break. I watched you with Carrie. That was good. I seen some of her about the cold of Candace. April had said she's close to Jim Jones. There's some interesting elements there that are definitely worth discussing. You guys make a great trio. Hope to see more of this. We will.
Thank you.
There we go. I like it.
Lucas Raisworth, thank you very much. Thank you for the honest Christian content. We need more of it. Ism, I self me. If you know, you know. There's a theological aspect to Sio's narrative.
What part of theology?
Yeah, like
the Romans 1, verse 24. He gave him over to a reprobate mind. Or Daniel 7, Nebuchadnezzar eating grass out in the field. There's a couple of theological truths that we can extract from Candace's behavior. But
I agree. If Candace Owens or anyone else would like to truly research if someone else was involved in the murder of Charlie, then they need to look into the unfamerica.org, including Hunter Kozak, who's asked the trans question when Charlie Kirk was shot. So this is also an important element of this.
Okay.
Look, the reason I jumped into Butler which was the first public event. Number one is being a sniper, and then I had a friend of mine that was a former Secret Service counter sniper. People were coming to me with questions and answers, and I was trying to give answers and trying to explain to people what was going on. And then on top of that, at the time, I really did think this was a government conspiracy. I was 100% into the idea that a lot of things going on. I do think there is most likely a government conspiracy behind Thomas Crooks and how he was weaponized, which I think is also a potential for Tyler Robinson as well. And I think it's important for people like us. Again, you get a collaboration of people with different specialties and things like that, where you can analyze these things, because we are now the media, whether that's good or bad. But if you're going to replace the media, you can't out fake news the fake news. And that's the problem, is that most of what has replaced the mainstream media is worse than the mainstream media. And so, one of the things I wanted to do with the Charlie Kirk going into it early on was get on this. And number one, I just had loved Charlie Kirk. I had been following him for years, was a big fan, and it felt personal. It really did. So I think it's good for us to analyze this stuff and to make sure that the government is telling us the truth with the best we can within our capabilities. Yeah, and that's why it's good to have a bunch of people with, again, different viewpoints, even if you disagree, different specialties. That's why I spent the money and time that I did to put out a 3D model that you guys can go download, and you can check distances. You can kind of Google Earth everything. We spend a lot of time and money on that. I hope people are using it. But it's important that we hold the government accountable, and that's what the press was supposed to do, but they quit doing it, and they became part of the state. which is what we saw, especially under the Biden administration.
Right.
So this is what we're left with. And, the only way that we can do that is having a little bit of integrity. And what Candace has done and many of our other people is they've taken us off on this wild goose chase, and they're not even, people aren't even exploring what are much more potential and plausible problems with the government's narrative, to include the whole trans movement and all this other stuff. And it's a distraction, and that's a real problem. And on top of that, it's divided the country. And if the trans movement is what killed Charlie, we've completely taken our eyes off the enemy. As a matter of fact, she's tried to convince you that the trans movement has nothing to do with this.
It has nothing to do with it, right?
Which is also a real problem. I can't wait to see Candace on police body cam claiming she's traveling.
You know what it is, right?
No, I don't know what that is.
If you follow body cam, sovereign citizens, they're never driving. They're always traveling.
I
And
see.
so, yeah, that's what she's saying. Because I'm sorry, she gives me either she's going to convert to Islam or she's going to become a sovereign citizen.
Why not both? Her investigation will never reach a conclusion because it's literally designed to keep the attention and money flowing in. I agree.
Okay, no, I agree.
She can't reach a conclusion because she doesn't have any of the critical information either. That's the thing, is people are like, well, what are you doing to try to solve this murder? It's like, I'm not a homicide investigator. I don't have access to that information, but neither does she.
Neither is she, right?
Like, why would you give a pot if you're the FBI or you're TPUSA and you're in the middle of a investigation, and TPUSA, I guarantee you, I know, look, they're under a gag order. They can't share this information. But, and then, so you're supposed to give this podcaster does she have a crime lab? Does she have forensic analysis capabilities? Like, what training, what specialty, what does she have that where if she even was given evidence, she could process it correctly and come to a normal human being conclusion? Because her logic to me is nutty. Like she looks at something and she just comes to a completely different conclusion that of anyone that I even know. It's like, that's what you like. Do you guys see the maroon shirts? Yeah, that means something. What? Like I don't even know how to process that. So, there's there when there's no there with everything that she does. And one of the funny things, I was like, I asked that question on X. I was like, what are we supposed to, like, she's supposed to just hand over this TPUSA or whatever, supposed to give her whatever she demands. Well, if they don't, then, it's destroying TPUSA. TPUSA is being destroyed because you have a podcaster that's accusing them of murder. And then because that person is accusing them of murder, the only way they cannot be destroyed is if you fall victim to blackmail. You give her what she wants, and don't think that's
not going to change. Yeah,
it's not gonna, like, okay, yeah, you know what? Hey, everybody, I was wrong. TPUSA is good now. They gave me the evidence. Like, that's not the conclusion that she's going to come to. No. So they're supposed to give you. You caused them to be destroyed. You caused all this suspicion saying that, they were guilty of murder. They're in on it. All the things that she has said, you've created this environment. And the only way to get out of it is to acquiesce to the person that is accusing you with zero evidence to begin with. It's a circular nonsense that only someone like Candace can create. And that is evil. Like, I don't care who, it shouldn't be acceptable. It should be condemned by everybody in the United States. And for some reason, we got at least 7.5 million people that believe it.
Which is wild.
Yeah, it is wild. Great show with all three of you brave truth seekers. I hope to see more collaboration like this on YouTube. If I played that one, that was all about it. It's unattractive when you talk badly about Candace. Stick to factually debunking her. There is enough there. Keep it classy, respectful. No. How about you send that to Candace? The way that she talks about people, the way that she convinces you that, you know what, he just gives me bad vibes. He's just a bad person. Like,
right.
Mikey McCoy's a monster for taking photos of them on vacation.
Yeah. Just stop, dude. Go talk to Candace. Jew money may be millions, but Arab money is billions. Yeah.
Right there.
Shauna, you have a great smile. Where is Batman when you need him?
I don't know what the Batman comment is, but thank you.
Okay.
I don't know. They also didn't know he was writing a book. Yeah. Why isn't anyone investigating UVU? Well, like, here's the other thing. Like, I hear these kind of questions thrown out all the time. they are being investigated. And by the way, I think UVU, I'm assuming that's what you meant.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have some legal issues in the very near future.
No, I agree.
I'm not saying I know, but if you know, you know.
You don't know now, but you know.
Oh man,
No.
I wish I could bring that meme up. I haven't.
I just
Oh,
have this feeling in my gut. I have this feeling in my gut that they're going to have some legal issues. Always at work when you're live, Jay Witt, but watch recordings every night from here in Atlanta. Also, ex-Candy fan in recovery. She lost to the Plotzy. Okay.
I think he's trying to say he lost the plot.
Yeah. Lost
Yeah,
to
that's
the
what
potty.
they.
Lottie
Yeah.
the potty. Well, I'm glad
you.
you're in
I appreciate
recovery,
you, brother.
I won't watch Candace Owens if not with Jay Witt and crew. And thanks, Jay, for bringing good people with integrity on the show. So, Jason, is that what you actually like live stream her thing every day? That's brilliant.
No,
Brilliant.
it's
And he
painful.
breaks it up with good commentary. It makes it
Thank
less
you.
painful.
But it because I am morbidly interested in seeing like where this goes, because I do believe it's going off a cliff. So yes, I have my popcorn ready. I'm watching the train go off the cliff.
Everybody should watch you if they want to watch Candace, not give her the views.
Well, there we go. I'll take it. I will gladly take it. Thank you.
That's brilliant. CJ Carenti gets a 10 Paramount Tactical membership. Thank you very much.
Out.
See, so for those of you guys don't know, I've had CJ on. CJ he's the one that spent the real money and the real time putting together that 3D model. And I'm talking hundreds of hours. He had an entire crew of engineers that put together, like, we were able to scan the area, but what we didn't have was the tent and all those things. As a matter of fact, in just a second, I'm going to pull up the 3D model. I'll show it to everybody. And again, you can download this. I will tell you, it is resource intensive on your computer. So some of your computers aren't going to run it, but you can download it and you can, again, it's completely interactive. But another big thank you to CJ. He is kind of the quiet hero behind the scenes. And I can't thank you enough, bud, for all the time, effort, and money that you put into that. As someone who was involved in officer-involved training, I can tell you Charlie's security will never forgive themselves for Charlie's death. That is correct. They do. I can tell you, again, I've met Brian Harpool, had him here, interviewed him. I mean, these people are, and look, these guys went with him everywhere. Like,
it's crazy.
There was a personal, they're victims too. They do feel terrible. But they also understand that, like, they can only do what they can do within, like, they had nothing to stop. If somebody came up, threw a grenade at Charlie, not much they could do about that. What when we're talking about assassinations, what most happens is it happens in a vehicle. Stop, they figure out when they're coming or they're leaving somewhere. And, when you look at what happens down in Mexico and South America and many other places, like TPUSA didn't have Charlie ride around in an armored car. There's 1,000 different ways that Charlie could have been killed. And unfortunately, what was done. And, it's just a bad deal. And at the end of the day, like, no one's at fault really, except for the person that pulled the trigger.
Correct.
Which apparently is the French Foreign Legion with one Israeli member. I am from the Philippines. Our 2022 election was rigged because of fake news. Charlie is a political figure influencing youth in the Republican vote. Candace, purely Democrat spewing lies. This must stop. Thank you. Big fan of the Philippines. Spent a lot of time down there. If security is infallible, she should go to Phoenix. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, yeah.
She'll be safe there.
Yeah. Go to the TPUSA event. What got me most was when CEO said Charlie was one step away from being Catholic. Funny how this came out after he died and couldn't call her out. Did any of you guys watch her interview with Russell Brand?
Oh, no, sorry.
So what she stated on the Russell Brand regarding, and because I just watched that episode of like a few days prior to, what she talked about how Charlie was getting ready to become Catholic, and then the story, the narrative of that, of what she relayed to Russell Brand, those were completely opposed. I'm not saying you're going to see that in a video soon, but probably going to see that in a video soon. Gotcha. Theological content is super cessation. I think you mean sensationalism. It allows those with bias against Israel to yet claim to be Christian. They attack Jews, saying Christ is king. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a term called super sensationism, which basically you're co-opting a term and using it in a different way. If I'm understanding Phantom correctly, that's how they get to use Christ as, well, that's why they use Christ as king, because they're using it in a different way than I would use it.
Right.
They're
using it as an insult to Jews.
Right. They're using it as a jab. Right. Absolutely. It's the equivalent of bless your heart here in the South.
Let me turn that around that a little bit, the way that I see it used on Twitter. So basically, there is a sect of Christians that believe that the current Israel is whether you want to call them Zionist Christians, whatever you want to term. Okay, whatever. And basically what that side of the Ian Carroll and Ryan Mata and all of them will say is like, no, you're using Christianity to excuse the actions of Israelis, Jews, whatever else. All right. On the flip side of that, you're using whatever you got going on over there to justify hating somebody else, or just pretending that like you're just at a minimum, it's a prejudice. I don't even like to use the word anti-Semitism,
right?
Because Israel definitely is open to criticism. There's lots of things that I've said it 100 times. Like, I'm indifferent to Israel. I really don't care. But I do think there is a conversation that we need to have when it comes to the money that we send to every government. And there is, look, we have care in this. We don't just have, we don't just have the Jewish lobby. We have a lot of other foreign interest lobbies in here that are as bad or worse that I think we need to also get rid of, or at least
rein in. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. Nip Optin, let's stop worrying about Candace, figure out what really happened on September 10th. Details don't add up. Can we stick to analyzing events that day? No. Again, I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with, I stayed silent longer than I should have. And I'll be honest, just like I said the other night, man, when I put that video out, I hit publish on that video, I was convinced I was going to lose 100,000 followers. I don't care. I don't care what the consequences are. What she's doing is damaging to this country. Truth is the soul of this nation. And you cannot, and that's exactly what Charlie lived by. He's like, I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care how much of a negative impact it has on me. I don't care what you say. We're going to tell the truth and we're going to expose lies. And before we can move forward, and quite frankly, I've done everything that I know to do to investigate this from the capabilities I have. Right now, we're not going to be able to do much more until we get to the trial. And then we can assess the evidence and we can assess the counter arguments from the defense, and we can get a better picture, because there is 10 times more evidence. Like, the evidence that we have is pretty damning, just what they've let us know.
Absolutely.
I think you could stick to just that, and there's probably not a jury out there that wouldn't come to a conclusion that Tyler Robinson is guilty. That being said, there are 10 times more evidence that we haven't seen that we are going to be able to see. And of course, you're going to have a chance where the defense is going to be able to, they're going to be able to actually counter that evidence, test the evidence, say whether or not they believe it's real, and then we'll have a better sense of what's going on. I mean, I don't know what else we can do other than just speculate till our eyes start to bleed. Like, that's all we're left with at this point. But what the 5-meter problem in front of us is the fact that Candace is out there spreading lies and propagandizing millions of people, and none of us should tolerate that.
Let me jump in, and you can take the comment down, but let me just real quick, like, today she set the Cantifa after some random guy. She read out his name and said he's going under an alias in Franklin or Nashville, Tennessee. If you see him, reach out to us and call authorities. Yeah. The dude didn't do anything. Yeah. So that's that mad recklessness. I agree with Gary 100%. But these are some real bona fide problems, because if she were doing that to you, Nip, I guarantee you would not be saying, oh, well, let's let the chips fall where they're made. You would want some quick recourse to that.
And I would say, as somebody that, anybody that was a fan of Charlie Kirk and that felt he was intelligent, had good discernment, all of these things, like, we're going to sit back and watch his wife get harassed, sit back and watch everything he worked for get destroyed.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Yeah, and right now, to me, the most important thing is like the politics of this. Like, I do not want a Democratic wave in the midterms. I definitely don't want them to take the White House in 2028. Like, we have to put it into her, and I mean that rhetorically. All right, we have to stop her from putting out this bad information. I know that someone's going to clip that. We have to put a stop to. We have to expose her for what she's doing. And she is lying.
Yes.
She's manipulating millions. And if we want, like, it worries me because Candace is not that sophisticated. And if somebody like Candace can convince the American people, millions upon millions of
nonsense,
of just utter nonsense, and you believe it, the way that like they feel so convicted in all this and are willing to do whatever for her just because of the nonsense that she said, like, that means we have an entire population that if we have more sophisticated elements come in here and try to, do disinformation operations on us, like, we're doomed. We're doomed.
Yeah.
We have the age of AI coming. Like, folks, you have to really, you got to have some real cognitive
serious discernment,
and discernment, or you are going to be made to believe some really wild stuff. All right, you're going to be part of QAnon and much worse.
Wow.
So that's important, Mr. Nip. No legit intel op team wears matching outfits. So that's one of the things I said to begin with, like, so ridiculous that, like, all right, guys, today's maroon.
Today's blue.
Maroon. Yeah, no, just stop.
It doesn't make sense.
Like, I've done clandestine operations. Like, we make sure that we're not matching. Like, just you're an idiot. Divine protection over you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We love the crew. Jay Witt is a hoot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, friend.
Halcyon's husband being a Bullington Club guy. Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of weird things. They wanted to kind of dissect and pick apart Charlie Kirk's marriage to Erica. And I mean, I thought that whole thing was disgusting. I would say maybe there's something that's worth looking into as far as her marriage to George Farmer. That being said, I think it's a little bit of a distraction, and I'm a little suspicious that it might even be bait. I think we need to stick to that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick to I'm going to continue to show everybody and expose, Candace for what she is. What's your thoughts on that, Jason?
Dog, you got me because I have a theory about it, but now when you said is bait, I'm like, doggone it, maybe I did bite. I took the bait because I thought it was very interesting. I said we have a young white European man who's pretty wealthy. He can have the pick of whomever, chooses a black broke American female to be his wife after 18 days.
I have never heard anything more racist.
And I'm going to say it. I'm here to say it. When you think about the fact, that
why I brought Jason on, I couldn't say that. I was like, hey man, I just need somebody. I need a pinch hitter to say this one comment.
I love it. Well, I'm here for it. And I'm like, does no one else finds that weird that this guy is so straight laced that he wants Candace to flourish and go and do all these great flowery things, but he runs the house and he tells her not to go to TPUSA? Okay. And by the way, his best friend happens to be a Muslim pimp. Okay. All right. This is what I'm supposed to believe. I got you. I believe you. No problem. I believe it. Something's wrong there. Something's wrong there. Oh, and by the way, he wasn't a U.S. citizen. He just became a U.S. citizen in May of 2025. So he wasn't. Why did he want to be a U.S. citizen so bad? That's such an interesting thing. Okay, never mind. I'll believe whatever y'all want me to believe. Sure.
No, I mean, look, I think there's anybody that feels compelled to go down that, God bless you, go do it. I'm gonna stick with Candace, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I am concerned I feel like that could potentially be a distraction. Shauna, what's your thoughts on that whole element? Because it is weird.
It is weird.
17 days and they got engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him on some interviews and stuff. They seem like a very odd pairing, but I don't know. I don't know what to think of the whole thing. I don't really care.
Right.
I don't really care that much. I think it's interesting, but not something I'd personally would spend my time on.
Sure. Yeah. Candace will end up in court for defamation. Going back to this real quick. One thing that I'm concerned about, look, I think most of us found it real distasteful when they started making these allegations at Erica regarding this was like basically a contrived sham marriage. Basically what people
She
were
was a
saying.
handler. Yep.
My concern with going after the husband in the marriage is that you're going to lose people that you don't need to lose by going down that route. People are going to be put off by that. I kind of think that that this is just for me. If I stick to showing that hold Candace accountable for what she's doing, and I leave that alone, like I think you'll be much more convincing to more people. That's kind of my thought on it, as I'm kind of working that out in my head. Did you watch Erica and Brian Kilmeade? It seems like they were talking about Candace. It's a good interview. Oh, we lost Jason.
Oh,
there we go. He's back in the chat. We lost you, buddy. We lost you.
Hold on 1 second.
Yep. Did you watch the Erica and Brian Kilmeade? It seems like they were talking about Candace. It's a good interview. Thank you for your coverage. You're welcome. All right, we'll get to some live chats, and we'll probably do about another 10 minutes and get everybody else. We lost Jason again.
I didn't see that whole interview, but I did see a clip of it just before we got on here, and it was interesting. Erica actually looked kind of angry, a little bit, just while she was talking and saying that she cares more than anybody on the internet does about justice for her husband, and I believe her.
This one says, everyone keeps saying how much of a narcissist Candace is because she is, but how come people don't also talk about her being a solipsist?
I don't know what that
the
is.
reason I don't talk about that is because I have no clue what that is. Maybe she is one of those things. Solipsist. I don't know. I have to look that
That's
term
a person. Well, there's that. Can y'all hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's a person that marries or dates based upon somebody's mind and intellect.
Gotcha. Look at you.
Tries to marry up somebody's mental prowess.
See, I brought you on here just for your vocabulary.
I'm here for you.
I appreciate that. Thomas Dater, yes, she did bring in Trump and our government. She said our government is trying to bankrupt her. She also said that, well, here's the other thing. She is now implicating, she's done it more than once. She's definitely implicated Trump, and she's definitely implicated our government. And what really irritates me is that she's implicated our military indirectly multiple times. She said she thinks the National Guard was involved, which is ridiculous. And then again, today she put out that whole thing where she's basically trying to say that it was a whole military operation. That was what her entire podcast today was about, and that she has a source that says that. There was no.
Which is interesting because she says she knows nothing about the military.
Yeah, and she was like, she said he said there was a room full of E4s and E5s, which are lieutenant colonels. That was one of the things that she said. All right, anybody that knows, E4 is either a corporal or a specialist, low enlisted, and you have E5, which is a sergeant. 04 is a major. 05 is a lieutenant colonel. So, anyways, that's what we got going on here. A lot of nonsense. So she is implicating our government.
Do you get a vibe that? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you get the vibe that Candace has disdain for the military at all?
I do. I think she doesn't understand it, and it's just one of those things where she keeps throwing shade at the military in weird ways. Like, these people are either in the military or their families in the military. Like my kids were my kids when I was in the military. Like they didn't know anything about. Like they weren't involved. It's guilty by association, which is a weird thing for anybody that has been in the military and knows anything about. Like, oh, because I'm in the military, my wife is now I deputize her to be, a secret agent as well, or whatever we got going on. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to, again, Candace is always playing 4D chess. Maybe she's trying to make the bad actors feel comfortable enough to come out of the woodwork and get caught. I don't think she's smart enough to do that, but wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, I don't think she's smart enough to do that. We can just leave it at that, I think. Here we go. Candace is working smarter instead of harder. Imagine making millions within a couple of hours of work a day. We should all be that lucky she's not your judge or jury in the case. You're right. She is definitely, I don't know. She's definitely working smarter than I am. I'll tell you that.
Selling her soul, though.
Yeah.
For that money.
At what cost?
Right.
At what cost? Yeah, this is true. I do know this for a fact. Captain Jack's, it's one of your peeps, Jason. Candace went with the Egyptian planes because someone sent a tip to her SEAL Team 6 tip line. Her children vetted the information for homework. I do know that did come from her her tip line.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yep. Why would FBI cash take her seriously when she can't hand over tangible evidence? She didn't even call her local and state police to make a report about her life being threatened because she had zero. Yeah, look, Candace doesn't take Candace seriously. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you really thought a multinational hit squad was coming after you, you wouldn't get off the air and go straight to Dollywood. Yeah. I mean, I think that is just the fact. Candace investigation reminds me of an AI podcast where the episodes get stranger and have nothing to do with each other. There's never an ending.
Let me also add. I'm sorry. I feel like my audio is a little bit out of sync somehow. Let me also add, her lawyers have said nothing about this the international assault team on her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've said nothing. They've not added an injunction or amended complaint or anything.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking in reference to the
Macron.
Yeah, the Macron defamation case. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. Correct.
I'm also very disappointed in Brandon. I had to unsubscribe him. Talking about Brandon Tatum. Yeah, like that was the
there we
go. Reading his article on that was one of the grossest things I ever had to put myself through. It was like the most concentrated amount of simp energy that I've ever walked through. It was gross. I don't even know what to say about it. For sure, follow Gary on X. We need as many as you good YouTube chatters over there as we possibly can.
That's crazy.
Yeah, look. If you're not used to X, I still, there's lots of elements that I don't like about it, but there is some really good news sources out there. It is a good. I also think that X is going to is going to end up replacing YouTube eventually once they start adding video and things like that. And obviously it's one of the few platforms that censorship does seem to be less. I still think there's some censorship going on, but it does seem to be less. So I definitely recommend for you guys to go get on X, and then definitely follow all three of us on X for sure. I say narcissism is necessary to that word, but that word is also belief that reality is solely a projection of someone's own mind. Yeah. I think that Candace is definitely living in a different reality. I agree with that. All right, folks. I think I know this is what, probably hour 9 for you on air there, Jason? Something like that? You went live around 5 or something, didn't you? Or before that, it was like 3.
It's almost hour 5. Yeah, it's almost hour 5.
Well,
and I still gotta go do my assassin work. So I'm pulling my hood so I can get ready to go do my assassin work.
Shauna, thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
What are your final words for the audience?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have any. I just don't believe anything that you're told. Fact check it.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Jason, final words to the audience.
I agree.
Well, there you go, folks. Yeah, look, I think.
Hey,
go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with asking questions of people who
Mm-hmm.
who are proposing some weird ideas. Ask questions.
Agree. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with rejecting a narrative. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical of the government, suspicious of the government. We should be. But again, you got to apply all that same logic to everybody on social media as well. I mean, without a doubt, we know for a fact 90+%, all the different theories from palm guns to tunnels to flying drones to, I mean, all that stuff wasn't generated by the government. All that stuff was generated by social media. So you need to understand. And also, we don't know it wasn't generated by the government. We still have a deep state to contend with. And I think that deep state puts out a lot of the stuff. So there's probably some government elements that may be promoting some of the things that Candace is saying, because that deep state that didn't want Trump to win and wanted to destroy his presidency, look, they're still there. All right. They're just going about it in a different way now. And I think we need to be aware of that. So the point here is we got to be discerning. You got to use logic. You got to make decisions based on evidence and facts and not your feels and vibes. All right. Feels and vibes will get you in trouble just about every single time. So number one, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on. Great show tonight. Enjoyed getting to talk and meet both of you virtually. And we'll definitely do this again sometime. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you so much.
Else, yeah, no problem. Everybody else out there, make sure you like, subscribe. All three of us. Yeah, we got some links down in the description. If you want to join our newsletter, if you want to become a member, we appreciate that support. You guys stay put. But for everybody else out there, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.